Oh, hello there. Yes, well, I lived until the weekend. Hooray! Well, it's nearly the weekend, isn't it? Yes. I managed to get as far as shopping yesterday, and that wore me out. Anyway, I was intrigued yesterday. Intrigued, I tell you, by a fascinating report about bias in the BBC. I know, shocking, isn't it? BBC being biased? Surely not. Anyway, I thought it was worthwhile today doing a deeper dive because, as ever with these very common sense, come on to that, views of the BBC, sometimes when you just scratch slightly below the surface, you uncover some intriguing non-common sense things. Anyway, it was led by the Daily Telegraph yesterday. The BBC feeds viewers a diet of woke bias in breach of its own impartiality rules. Campaigners say review of drama and news output has exposed prejudice and a preoccupation with the slave trade. It is claimed, yes, them lefties at the BBC have a preoccupation with the slave trade. Not that right-wing media have a preoccupation with things like the slave trade, heaven forbid. Anyway, it was something from the Campaign for Common Sense, a huge, apparently, organisation that involves as many as 2 people, if you look at the stuff on Companies House. But anyway, it's worthwhile. Link below to the report because obviously I want to find out just how extensive their undoubtedly brilliant methodology is. So let's dive into partial to some performative drama, the BBC and bias. Let's dive into that. So we're first of all presented with the notion of 2 lots of recommendations, which did make me smile. Somebody is so thorough in what they're doing, not at Tufton Street, I'll come on to that, but definitely not at Tufton Street. They're so thorough in what they're doing that they missed out the word appendices. Yes, it's easy to miss out an appendix, isn't it? Yes, and all that stuff. Anyway, yes, so we get 2 lots of recommendations, except, of course, somebody hasn't proofread it. Anyway, let's move on to the methodology that was used in this undoubtedly very, very, very important study. So our team identified a comprehensive selection of BBC commissioned dramas which aired mostly over the course of 2022. Yes, okay, some stuff from last year. I'm not really quite sure it's 2022. Maybe the team have taken a long time to get it all together. The team, definitely lots of people. Okay, so anyway, some stuff. This included 70 episodes of dramatic output and involved over 60 hours of BBC programming. Okay, so some stuff. Good. Each instance of impartiality was logged and broadly categorised. See below for the categories we included. Now, I haven't gone there with that because they've simply listed things that they don't really like. But anyway, you can look for yourself. Yeah, as ever, it's the kind of thing I do, don't I? Put the information down below so you can see for yourself, and a final bias score was arrived at. Brilliant. So there's a distinct methodology there whereby they've looked at some stuff from over a year ago, and they've decided they don't like it on a sliding scale, presumably of biasness. Good. The assessment was designed to be as objective, good as possible, looking forensically, love that word, at content, including dialogue, messaging and casting. Brilliant. Okay, so now we're rocking. Now, do we get that lot unpacked? Well, no, we don't. Obviously not. That's as far as that goes. So they've looked at some stuff. Well, not quite sure what. They kind of partially tell you, but not really. And then they've used their bias scale. So let's come on to the bias scale, because I'm sure that'll deeply unpack exactly the comprehensive forensic methodology that we have here. The aim of the exercise was to test the widely held perception the BBC skews towards the left politically and consistently portrays one-sided attitudes to Britain, its institutions, and to political decisions such as Brexit. Okay then, widely held. Okay, by whom? Doesn't say. It's just it's widely held by people at Tufton Street. No, sorry, we mustn't presumably mention Tufton Street, but damn, I just have. And GB News. It's widely held by people that watch GB News. That's actually the case. It's widely held, isn't it? It's just common sense. Oh, common sense. I like that. Anyway, an exercise such as this is always going to include a more significant qualitative element, good, than it will a quantitative one. Excellent. That's Methodology 101. We've managed to hit that. GCSE Sociology, Methodology number 1. Brill. Might come up as a 1-mark question, guys. However, we wanted the analysis to be as accessible for similar analyses in future, which is why I used the bias scale, attributing a rating from 1 to 5 depending on the content and tone of each individual program. We intend to use this scale to assess future programming when the question of impartiality arrives. Brilliant! So you're going to say to yourself, oh, I wonder what this bias scale, I wonder what the parameters of this bias scale are. And the answer is, we have no idea, because of course it isn't there. It's stuff they don't like, which they've rated between a don't like it very much at all and hate it, horrible. Okay, so that's your 1 to 5 scale, which they've decided presumably is based on, I don't know whether or not there's a black person in the 1920s drama or something similar. They do, in the appendix, it's recommendations to come back once again to that particular guffaw. But anyway, yes, it says, for example, The Capture has a rating bias of 5 and EastEnders has a rating bias of 2, which is very good. And you can see exactly the way that they've arrived at those numbers. Said nobody ever. Yes, so that's all the research you have, but they're going to use the similar thing, presumably, to mark future stuff. So they'll be able to benchmark the very forensic methodology I've used this time round with next year, when we'll probably hear about 2023, or maybe not, and see if EastEnders has become more biased according to the team. And, speaking of which, if you go on Companies House, there are basically 2 people associated with this organisation, and one of them is Mark Lehane, who is basically a cohort to the Conservative Party, senior advisor to a variety of different people within the cabinet, and, drumroll, is closely associated with Tufton Street. Who'd have thought it, eh? Anyway, I'd be intrigued, Mark, if we could hear a little bit more about your methodology, or indeed the team. That would be great, mate, because I'm sure you wouldn't want to hoodwink people and just produce some load of old tosh that you've thrown out without even bothering to proofread. I mean, you'd be a fool to think that, wouldn't you? Yes, anyway, do have a lovely beginning to the weekend. Enjoy, if you can.